2019 saw the release of a ton of great games, including The Division 2, Sekiro, Gears 5, Death Stranding, Jedi Fallen Order, and many, many more. And it already seems like 2020 isn't going to be any less of a year for gaming, with the first half already being completely stacked with a whole host of anticipated titles, and plenty more to come near the end of the year, and of course more to be announced that we just don't even know about yet. Hey everyone, I am MisterBo, and we are going to be going over my top 5 most anticipated games coming in 2020. Now, when Marvel's The Avengers project first got announced back in 2017, a lot of people were very excited. However, having seen the full reveal at last year's E3, something about this game just kinda seemed a little bit off. That might be because we've been so used to the MCU Avengers, and seeing Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow as these new characters that we just aren't used to seems a little bit off. However, looking at the gameplay from what we've seen so far, it does look like it has a lot of promise, and it does look very interesting. It's a single player Avengers game which combines RPG elements of trying to find pieces of gear with different rarities, and the ability to replay select missions as any of the heroes you want with a group of friends. It seems like a strange concept, and we haven't really seen that side of it yet. We've seen little glimpses here and there. We've seen that you can use different skins from old comic books for different characters, and we know there are still things that they have yet to announce. I am cautiously optimistic for this game at the moment, and hope it's not a repeat of a game like what we saw in 2019 called Anthem. We have been promised a beta before the game officially releases, which should hopefully give us a chance to try this out for ourselves and get a full grip about what this game actually is. Hopefully we do see more sooner rather than later, because Marvel's Avengers is set to release on the 15th of May, and well, that's only a couple of months away now.
What are we waiting for?
Sitting at number 4 is Watchdogs Legion. Now, Watch Dogs 1 was one of my favourite games from Ubisoft in the last couple of years. I absolutely adored that game. The gritty, realistic theme of walking around a rainy Chicago, hacking people and stopping things like human trafficking was a great change of pace from the Assassin's Creed games that Ubisoft had been churning out year on year. Even the multiplayer in this game was a breath of fresh air. Being able to invade someone else's game without them knowing, hacking them, and then messing around with them as they frantically tried to find you was a ton of fun. However, with Watch Dogs 2, they took a massive step in the wrong direction for me, going for the more colourful, fun approach, stepping away from that gritty, grounded to reality style that we got from the first game. Now we have Watch Dogs Legion, which is setting up to be a return to form, though I am still a little bit unsure of Watch Dogs taking that step forwards into the future. The setting of London seems awesome, and the promise of the ability to be literally any NPC in the entire game sounds kind of too good to be true. Though if Ubisoft can pull it off, I expect Watch Dogs Legion to be the best Watch Dogs yet, and it could put this franchise back in everyone's good books. Now, Ubisoft recently announced that they were actually delaying the game from a March release to a November release, just in time for those new next-gen consoles, eh? Now, I'm sure we'll get even more gameplay and reveals from this game throughout the year, and specifically at E3, but I am very excited to hopefully see this game make a return back to its original form. Now, sitting at number 3 is a little bit of a weird one for me, and that is the Dark Pictures Anthology's new game of Little Hope. Now, while we don't know really anything about this game other than only seeing a short 40-second teaser at the end of last year's The Man of Medan, which was a great game to just sit and play through with a mate, we don't know what this game is about or when it's coming out. Now, as I mentioned, The Man of Medan was a great game, created by the people who made Until Dawn. It was a sort of horror, choose-your-own-adventure game where you and one other person could sit through and play the game from two different sides playing as different characters, you had to make choices on the fly. Overall, it was just a ton of fun and it had a load of great replayability. Little Hope seems to be bringing that horror element that we kind of missed from Man of Medan that we saw in Until Dawn, and I can't wait to see more from this game and play it sometime later this year. At number 2, it's the big one, Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I'll admit I've never played a Witcher game before. When it comes to big open world RPGs, fantasy has just never really grabbed me. However, the theme and the setting of Cyberpunk, well, that has caught my attention. This game is setting up to be a great start to the year, with it already probably having a chance to be 2020's Game of the Year, and no one's even played it yet. What's more is it looks to have a fully immersive and breathing world. We also know Keanu Reeves is going to be a main character in this game, which has gotten a load of people excited, and CD Projekt Red has even said they are developing some kind of multiplayer for this game that won't actually release when the game comes out, and will probably see the light of day in around a year or so after, which gets me very excited as I'm always a fan of multiplayer in open world RPGs.
We have a city to burn.
Now, before we get to our number 1 slot, of course there are a ton of games coming out next year that just haven't made it onto this list, so let's go over some honourable mentions, games that I am extremely excited for next year, and some games that we aren't entirely sure if they are going to be coming out next year or not. One of my first honourable mentions is Minecraft Dungeons. Now, while I don't really play the normal Minecraft anymore, Minecraft Dungeons looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. It looks like a more stripped back version of Diablo, and it's in Xbox Game Pass, so it's going to be free to play on day 1 if you have that. Number 2 is Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Now, it's been years since I've played a LEGO game, and even more since I've played a LEGO Star Wars game, but they are redoing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 completely from the ground up with sort of open world environments, and they are giving us The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker for the first time in a LEGO Star Wars game, and I just can't even imagine how many playable characters there are going to be in this game. Another big game coming out next year that I know a load of people are excited about is Dying Light 2. Now, I did play the first Dying Light for a little bit, but I didn't really enjoy it too much, though Dying Light 2 seems to be like it's going in the right direction. Everything we've seen from it so far looks like it's going to be an awesome game. Now, one of the smaller games that I am excited for next year is a game called Tunic. Now, if you aren't aware of what this game is, it's a Zelda-like game in which you play as this little fox, adventuring around, going through dungeons, collecting and defeating enemies, and I'm very excited to play it when it comes out. Now, I am mainly an Xbox gamer. I don't really play PlayStation that much, but I'm definitely going to be turning my PlayStation on to play Ghost of Tsushima. Now, we got a bit more of a reveal from this game at the Game Awards last year, and we still don't really know too much about this game, but it just looks awesome. The visual aesthetic is very pleasing, and I can't wait to see more of this game later in the year. Another smaller game that I am very excited about is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Now, I really enjoyed Ori and the Blind Forest. I kind of just one day downloaded it, played it, and I really enjoyed it. Now, while I didn't actually manage to complete Ori and the Blind Forest because I got stuck on that damn water bit, I did enjoy it up to there, and I'm very excited to see what they do with the sequel. Now, one of those games that kind of came out of nowhere at last year's E3 was Rainbow Six Quarantine. All we have is a teaser trailer, and that's about it. We don't even know if it's going to be coming out in 2020, with Ubisoft pushing back a load of games, so we'll have to wait and see, but I am very intrigued as to what this kind of game is going to be. Now, another Ubisoft game that we don't actually know if it's going to be coming out in 2020, but I hope so because this game has been announced for what feels like years upon years, and that is Skull and Bones. Initially shown to us as just a boat combat game, I think they have reworked it to include some more sort of gameplay off of the boat, similar to what we saw with Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Sea of Thieves. Another indie game that was shown off at E3 last year that really got me intrigued is 12 Minutes. Just watching watching the trailer for it, I knew I wanted to play this game, and I can't wait till we see more of this game. And finally, the last game on the honorable mentions list is a newly announced game, and that is Godfall, a game that is going to be launching on the PS5. Again, we aren't entirely sure if it's going to be coming out this year. I believe it's set to come out this year, but you never know, some of these things could always move around, and it's basically a slasher looter game from Gearbox, so that sounds like it's going to be ticking off all the boxes, though it is a PlayStation 5 exclusive, so I might not be playing that game for quite some time. And of course, there are a ton of games we don't even know about yet. We'll be getting a load of announcements throughout the year, and of course at E3, things that we'll be playing at the end of this year, which is exciting to think about. So I'll be sure to do an updated video once we've got a load of new announcements at E3. But let's move on to my number one most anticipated game of 2020. Yes, of course, my number one pick is Halo Infinite. And to be honest, this is probably Halo's last chance. After what we had with Halo 4, which a lot of people enjoyed the campaign, but the multiplayer was a little bit lacking in certain places, and then Halo 5, in terms of the campaign, just didn't hit the mark. I know a lot of people loved the Halo 5 multiplayer, but the campaign was just all kinds of mess. It really left a sour taste in most Halo fans' mouths. What with Spartan Locke being introduced, with Blue Team coming back, and I for one, who only really follows the story in the games, thought Blue Team was dead and gone, so I'm not even sure how they came back into the game. But from what we've seen of Halo Infinite so far, it seems like 343 Industries are sort of stripping back everything and going back to what we loved about Halo. And one way they're doing that is the new visual style. Now, while I didn't hate the new visual style of Halo 4 and 5, it was all a bit too shiny and a bit too clean. It seems 343 are taking it back to a more traditional Bungie style Halo game, and you can see that just from the way they've changed Master Chief's armor. Now, we don't really know much about the campaign for Halo Infinite. We've had teasers that we might be seeing the return of the Flood. Hopefully we do, because I've had enough of fighting those Prometheans, and that's kind of it. We assume it's Master Chief's journey on trying to get Cortana back, and I'm super excited to see what unfolds. Of course, there's also a chance for 343 to do something amazing with the multiplayer side of the game. Again, a lot of people liked what we saw in Halo 5. I especially liked the Breakout mode, but we want a return to classic Halo with big team battle. Yes, you can introduce the Warzone game mode from Halo 5. Yes, bring back Breakout from Halo 5 as well, but add in all those classic modes that people are currently playing in the Master Chief Collection. Of course, we're going to have a brand new Forge, and Forge just seems to get bigger and bigger every year. I think Halo 5 Forge introduced scripting and things like that. Some of the infection game modes that people have made in Halo 5 Guardians is incredible, and if they really get Forge right and people are able to utilize it to the best of their ability, Halo Infinite could last for years upon years with people making awesome multiplayer game modes and awesome multiplayer maps. I just hope that the campaign knocks it out of the park with this one. And of course, it's going to be a day one launch title on the brand new Xbox Series X. Everything is lining up for Halo to make its big comeback and to revive this franchise, because if it doesn't, as I said at the beginning, I think it could be Halo's last chance to really make an impact. And that is why it is my most anticipated game, because I just can't wait to see what 343 does with Halo, and it's always nice having a shiny new game on a shiny new console.
We lost everything. There's nothing left for us here. I don't think what here is.
So there you have it. Those were my top 5 most anticipated games of 2020, as well as some honorable mentions along the way. Let me know, was there anything here that I completely missed off that you are super excited about? Do you agree with my top 5 list? What is your top 5 list? Put it down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then click the like button to show your support. Also subscribe for more content like this in the future. Tap that bell icon so you never miss a video. 2020 is just beginning and there's going to be a lot on the way, especially on this channel, so make sure you do stay tuned. But thank you very much for hanging out with me. I have been Mr. Bo, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.